So I'm on day 21 of my 90-day giving up sugar and not giving up sugar. It's refined sugars and processed and refined kinds of carbs. And I'm on day 21, which is not easy. I've been under some stress, as maybe you have heard that I'm dealing with an aging dog who is not doing well, but I'm hopeful that we will start to improve after we see the eye vet. But today's day 21, and the truth is I'm being a lab rat. I want to understand the role of how eating chocolate, like I have been in the afternoons, a piece of chocolate, my guilty pleasure, sometimes a little chocolate after dinner, occasionally a treat that I really love once a month, like a donut. And those are my guilty pleasures. And we see those days of what they call our cheat days. And I don't do that really. I'm lucky if I have a cheat moment. So I wasn't happy with my cholesterol. It was slightly elevated in June. And so I thought to myself, I'm going to test and see if I can give up 90 days of refined sugars and carbs and really see if that will somehow improve my cholesterol numbers so that they're not slightly elevated anymore. Because I don't want that to be a risk that I have to deal with because guess what? Heart disease runs in my family. And heart disease is the number one killer of everybody. So let's talk about it. This is MC of Healthy by George. I come each week to talk about all things healthy and vibrant that will keep us into our 80s and 90s being the very best version of who we are. And that's the truth. We have to be intentional. So please join me here. Click that like button and subscribe. I'd love to see you every week where we can talk about all these things that need keeping our top of our list of to-dos so that it's a daily activity that contributes to our well-being. So why is it that I'm doing this? Here's the issue. I want to talk about the research that has been shown how these elements of sugar, refined sugars, processed foods can be a cholesterol contributor. They can improve or decrease your cholesterol capabilities. And that's really what I want to understand. I want to understand whether the studies show that having something sweet is what I think is a contributor. And I think all of us know that cholesterol is a fat. And so we talk about eating less fat because it's really about how fat is not something that we're supposed to contribute. It contributes to our cholesterol. It's about salt. It's about fat. It's about those things that are really not going to be good for us because fat is what matters. But there is a second contributor, and it's sugar. And it's those added sugars and refined sugars. And when you start to really take a look at it, you're shocked. Everywhere you turn, it is increased sugars. Unbelievable how much sugar there is out there. And I don't want to see that I am doing something in my behavior, in my diet, that is going to contribute to worsening of my cholesterol. We need to understand that when we are understanding how we can lower our HDL or decrease our triglycerides, we need to know that one of the biggest sources of added sugar is the things that we drink. I can't get over how much sugar is in these Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. And I've talked about this before, but it's unbelievable to see that one of the biggest studies called the Framingham Heart Study said people drinking more than about 12 ounces a day of sugary drinks had a higher chance of developing high triglycerides and poor cholesterol over time than people who had not drank these kinds of sugary drinks. So we really need to think about why sugar is something that impacts our cholesterol. It's not that it's a single-handed issue, but it's a contributor because when the liver gets a bolus of sugar, it's going to make more triglycerides. It's going to nudge us in that poor direction of higher blood fats, lower HDL. It's not going to help us with those particles that cardiology tells us to worry about. Sugar does become cholesterol. And guess what? More sugar changes how we are processing foods in our body. So I want to be very clear. The problem isn't very vague, but it is about these things that we call processed foods. And there's a lot of foods out there that are processed that are fine. We get these things that are packages that are frozen foods or things that are pre-mixed or pre-packaged. There's a lot out there. But I think what we lose track of is those things that are added sugars and refined carbohydrates, like white bread, like pastries, like these sweetened drinks, like that chocolate that I like to eat after lunch and dinner. Those are things that are really the culprits. Listen, the frame is we have to think about how we want to interact with our foods and how we want to understand how it contributes to our body and aging and cholesterol and don't want to increase my risk because of the heart disease that's run in my family. So I want to improve it. And I don't want to become someone who's just obsessed because of saturated fats, but I can do something in the short term to understand how perhaps these little treats that I have on a daily basis could be contributing. And I need to figure out, is this something that I need to have a reminder that sugar is a real contributor and it's one that I can do something about? I need to do something about it. And I need to really look at my chocolate obsession. And I need to think about maybe looking at how some chocolates are better than others. Not all chocolate is bad. And I think you can find, I think they make some chocolate bars like with dates, and they make other things with things that are not quite processed or refined. I think that's the key. I think it's more about how frequent was I having a donut and how often was I eating a really processed piece of chocolate versus a really good quality one. So, can I really move the needle by doing 90 days? I don't know. And I want to explore this because my triglycerides are normal. It's the lipid panel that I want to see if there could be any way to make it better. So by cutting these added sugars and refined carbs, can it help me? I'm looking at it now on day 21, and I have until September. And I'm really excited to see what happens. But I know that it may not happen in 3 months. It may take the fact that I have to do 180 days because it takes a while for our bodies to turn around and become different in their functioning. So I do want to understand because I want to have a healthier body. I want to find out what my body does with this little experiment. And when I go to get my blood drawn, I'm curious as to whether it will do anything. And also, too, maybe the swapping out of the things that I was eating for things that are like a fruit or some tea or something that is less caloric or something that has less sugar. I want to understand, does this make me feel just as satisfied as if I were having my little ritual of chocolate? And it's not forever. And I don't think it's such a terrible thing to give up the donut once a month or twice a month. And I can basically figure out a different process. I think change is always something because I'm a health psychologist. I can do things to track what is going to help me so that I can eat better and I can actually learn. So, what are you doing to learn more about how you are interacting with your nutrition? I think we all need to step back at some point and take a deeper look at what we're eating. Sometimes we can get into patterns. I know I did. I was getting into a little pattern where I was eating chocolate a little more frequently than perhaps I should. So take a look at yourself. How's your energy in the afternoon? How well are you sleeping? Are you having a slump in the afternoon? Is there any kind of shifts that you think would be helpful when it comes to your nutrition? Why don't you look at the way that you interact with your nutrition and perhaps do something that engages you, just like I am? Don't do 90 days, do 21. Hey, anything for a short time is worth playing around with. Pick something that intensifies your understanding of your nutrition. So recognize that there is some great science out there that talks about the fact that we need to look at our added sugar and our refined carbs, and that these things do contribute to our whole heart and our aging process. And if we can do something to keep ourselves from increasing our risk of heart attacks, I think that's something to be looked at. And I know for me, it's what spurred me on to do my 90 days. So think about something that you could do to deepen your understanding of your nutrition. Are all your meals whole foods? I know mine aren't. I'm living a busy life. I'm having to figure things out. I love good crackers and crunches and chips and things like that. Let's face it. So I'm having to figure out things that'll have a little more nutrition to them, a little more less added sugar, and a little more value, even though they may be something packaged. I love these almond flour crackers. They're very good. I think they're called Nutsola or something. I do like those a lot. And I like the Wasa like crisps. I like things that crunch. What can I say? But get rid of my sweet tooth, I have been relying on the fruits that are in season. Cherries are my savior. Man, I got some of those Rainier cherries. Oh my God. They were like eating little sugar bombs. I wanted to look at how much sugar it would be if I ate 10 or 15. It's not a small amount, but I do feel like if I had it instead of a piece of chocolate, I'm getting some fiber, I'm getting some nutrient that I don't normally get, and I am getting, of course, some sugar. But at least it's coming in the form of a fruit. And I'm not doing it that frequently because let's face it, if I eat 10 or 15 of them, that's 25 or 30 grams of sugar. And I really don't want to go above 25 grams a day. So you really have to look at it because I eat yogurts and those have sugar in them. And you have to really look at the things that have sugar in them. And I'm going to tell you, it's a lot of that stuff out there. So take a deeper look at what has sugar. It's really informative. And it's really shaken me up a little bit to be a little more curious as to what the labels are saying when it comes to sugar. So be well, my friends. Remember, we have this one precious life. Let's live it to the fullest. And maybe this isn't a bad time to re-examine. There's so much in the season right now. There are fruits and vegetables, and it's delicious. I grilled some corn the other day, and it was off the chain delicious. Sweet and buttery and with a little bit of salt. Oh my gosh, it was delicious. So recognize that we can all take a step back, take a deeper look for 10, 15, 21 days. I'm choosing 90 because I really do want to understand what's going to happen with my cholesterol if I do this, and recognize that heart disease runs in my family. So recognize we all can do something, even in a small way, to just deepen our understanding about our health and well-being. Maybe you don't want to look at nutrition. Maybe you want to look at sleep, or you want to look at your exercise, or you want to look at are you getting your energy, or are you getting enough water? All of these things are so valuable for us as we get older. Let ourselves take ourselves out of a rut and just take a deeper look. Again, be well. Please click subscribe, share. Do 21 days of something that you're inspired to investigate about your health and well-being. Okay? I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
So thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey. Because remember, your body, your well-being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.